Will be Dr. Edward J. Yaw, President of County College of Morris.
Thank you, Betty. County College of Morris is truly honored to host the AIDS Memorial Quilt, sponsored by the Names Project. I want to extend a warm County College of Morris welcome to all of you, and especially to those of you who are visiting our campus for the first time. I'm very proud of the college in bringing this important event to our campus and to our community, and I wanted to especially thank those persons who have chaired this event. First of all, Jack Gallagher and Daria Johnson, also our volunteer coordinator, Betty Simmons, and the more than 110 volunteers, primarily students who've participated in this event, and the ceremony coordinators, Carol Shapiro, Teresa Ciccarelli, and Betty D'Andriol, who you just met. It's very important that we remember those persons who have fallen victim to this dreaded disease. To borrow the metaphor of Tom Hanks, and it may not have originated with him, there are far too many angels on the highway to heaven. It is important that we continue to bring public attention to this dreaded disease and its victims, and to keep the pressure on until a cure has been found. Although there are some promising developments, perhaps the rate of growth has been slowed, perhaps the victims are living a year longer, the fact remains we still don't have a cure, and the final outcome remains death. It's important that we bring this symbol to our campus to remind us all, especially our students, of the peril they face in the everyday decisions that they must make. In closing, I would just add that my wife Paula and I have lost very good friends, and this is an important memorial for us as well. Thank you.
A statement will be read from the AIDS Quilt Project by Hercules Leotard.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Names Project AIDS Memorial Quilt. We will begin by reading the names of people who are remembered in the quilt you see here on display. The panels in front of you were each created by lovers, families, and friends to commemorate loved ones who have died of AIDS. The donation bins you see around the room are to collect funds for direct care services for people in our community living with HIV, ARC, and AIDS. Your donations will be given to Hope House, Morris County Urban League, Morris County Board of Social Services, and the Angel Connection. Thank you for joining us here today. We appreciate your support.
Carol Bamesberger, representing the Angel Connection in Randolph.
John Michael Rushing, Ed Daly, Roger, Larry Whitehead, Roger Baird, Tim Green, David Lathrop, Wayne Huff, Lionel Powell, M.R. Mort, Dennis R. Gray, Jim Snow, John D. Smith, Irwin, Robbie Smith, Alan Hyatt, Chuck Bennett, Jeff Hammock, Dawn Sutton, Victor Morales, Chuck Morris, LaWayne Matthew, Mike Foster, Liz and Missy, Donna, George Hepplewhite, Eric Bjorkland.
Anthony Caruso, Morris County resident.
Bill Moore, Stephen Townsend, Chris Hodges, Carl DeStefano, Horace Eddie Good, David E. Smith, Alan Dickinson, Bill Casario, George E. Brown, Charles Lubert, David Johannes Vargas, John Cushing, Gordon Brown, Ron Coffey, Jim Kelly, Ben Lanning, James Reed, Ben Codisvolo, Janice Berman, Arturo Yanis, Michael May, Earl Jack Atkins, David Hock, Robert Q. Gold, Eckert Casito, Alex Wizineski, Jimmy, Dean Peabody, and last but not least, my daughter Joanne Caruso Gurriello.
Dan DiNuvola, AIDS Ministry Team, Church of the Redeemer in Morristown, and Hope House Buddy.
James Gilly, Fernando Delgado, Stephen John Mikulowski, Hal Ryle, Chuck Hill, Tony Lopilato, Glenn Camero, Richard Shell, Kevin Taft, Chuck Henson, John Rizzuto, Sterling Roy Smith, Tom Mars, Robin Lloyd, Tim, Dennis Garrison, Bob Riffle, R. Allen Dickinson, Gary Holt, Lon G. Joey, Jack Logan, Ray Rondell, David W. Anderson, Lambertus H. Prinz, Timothy George Oshrat, Douglas J. Wolfer,
Roger Franklin, representing the HIV Testing and Counseling Center of Morristown Memorial Hospital.
Anthony DeVizia, Larry D. Walker, Fortunato Arrigo, J. Michael Minton, Pierre J., Frank Bonanno, Terry McNulty, James L. Meyer, Brian O'Driscoll, Mont Marcellus Parker, Russell J. Kidney, Ibn Nasir, Harry M. Joffin, Bart George Granby, Gary Jeffers,
Denise Harris. Jeffrey W. Sherman. Chad Michael Elmaker. Jerome O'Neill. Billy Gray Hall. Arthur Whitehead. Ray. And Matthew.
Willard L. Hedman, Chairperson of the County College of Morris Board of Trustees.
Paul Buchanan, George Zine, George, Kurt, Leroy, Steve, Jimmy, Gary, Tommy, Gary Durst, Robert, and Ed. Newcomb Cleveland, Rick, Warren, Glenn, Kurt, Francis, Marvin, Rita, Michael, Ed and Robert, William Speaks Green, Dan Selly, Edward J. Demir Garabedian, Gail Batson, Michael Minton, Timothy Krabs, Ronald E. James, Uncle John Pearson.
Marilyn Hoffman, Administrative Secretary to County College of Morris, Division of Academic Affairs.
Ellsworth Thornton. Maria. Mike Toomey. Dennis Angulo. Steve H. Kevin Richardson. Scott Oviello. J.J. Smith. Joseph J. Pfeiffer Jr. Louis Anderson. Ralph Gomez. Henry Lee Aldridge Jr. Matthew Getman. James Gordon, M.D. Michael Newton.
Taylor, Randy, Frederick Jr. Garrett, Joel Speakman, Mario Salas, Palmer Dean, Kevin Patterson, Spurgeon, Willie, Scott, Evelyn, Matt, Jerry, Dale, Jim Storr, Jimmy, Jose, Patty, Hutch, Al L, Bubba, Al G, Mark, John, Robert, David F. Neese, Jack Gilbert, Albert, Mark, Jay, Wayne, Carson Grant Glick, Robert, Arthur James Stark Jr., Alan, Jordan City, Steve,
Richard Kaprowski,
Tom Hawk, Stash, Stephen Clear, Stephen McCory, Jim Mulaney, Harry L. Ross, Leo Houghton, Peter Johnson, Michael Alexander, Donna, Anthony Denizio,
Don Rudy, and my friends Ed Daly, Don Vogel, Eric, and my partners John Arn and Michael Pabuda.
Elizabeth Lehman, representing the Morris County Board of Social Services.
David W. Houseknecht, Patrick Dwyer, Fizzy W., Ron Arrowsmith, Sal, Egan Sagic, Carol Hoggard, Angel, Edward, Raphael, Tomas, Margaret, Angel, Victor, Marta, Elvin, Tony, Samuel, Michael Stephen Zonter, Doug Buchan, Jean Langlois, Robert J. Francesco, Sergeant Vince Cambridge, and my friend Peter Allen Graves.
Hercules Leotard, County College of Morris student, member of the Quilt Committee, and a Hope House buddy.
Hector Jose Ima Pepe, Don Lehman, Barry McGrath, James Seabrook, Mark J. F. Connolly, Thomas S. Pashuta, Peterson Prolock, A.S. Mike, John Inguanzo, Alex Bizarek, Michael S. Fitchie, Matthew R. Barlow III, John Patrick Murphy, Leonard Harding, Ricky Rhodes, Joel Gardner, Robert Elwood, Doug Rapp, Joe Tucci, Kenny Newman, Ira Lewis Boxer, Willis E. Davis, Ira Boxer, Carl W. Dotson, Patrick Marvin T. Haggy, and my friends Eugene Lency, Ray E., Howard Graves, and Michael Farrar.
Jerry Luboff, County College of Morris English Department faculty.
Michael, Gary Charles Mott, Art Murray, Jim Mullins, William Hall, Vern, John Terry Lewis, Michael J. Vernaglia, Special K, John Louis Barnadas, Mark C. DeVole, Phil, Aaron B. Farrar, Kenneth A. Raxon, Mark Allen Rosenfeld, John Brennan, Stephen Bates, Mike Gardner, Stephen Page, Chris Collins, John R. Overstreet, Carlos Soto, James Falkenberg, Lawrence Culp, Jasmine T.J. Geigel, Darrell Usher, Gary Philip Gabe Wagner, Michael E. McMacken, Gary W. Davies, Jean A. DeLees, Nick Sarmiento, Michael Conlin, and my beloved friends Hector Tello, Danny Adams, and Ed Lavoie.
Hal Maloney, AIDS Ministry Team, Church of the Redeemer in Morristown, and a Hope House buddy.
Stephen Lydens, Charles Chip Broomingham, Tony Felix, Michael F. Phelan, Jim Stoffel, John T. Tobin, Alyssa Brown, Richard Mitchell Langevin, Jack Willems, Annis Salmon, Cheryl Woods, Virginia La Sorsa, Eddie Vega, Ross A. Montgomery, Charlie Cunningham, James Gillen Graham, Joseph Feraldo, John and Ted, Teresa Kidder, Pam Kane, Michelle Doomer, Kathy Brown, Gigi Marie Leshen, Richard F. George, Philip C. White, J. Rick Kiraz, Sean T. Devaney, Tommy Montgomery, Lou Seligman, Douglas M. Sparacino, LPN, Edward Sterling, Chuck Drennan, Roger Dumas, Marvin Scruggs, Tom Jones, and my first buddy, Kevin.
Mark Mulday, President of the County College of Morris Student Government Association.
Raymond Lake, Stephen M. Lattis Jr., Phil Strider, Terry Dwart, Norman Gutman J.D., George Watson, Joe Dickerson, Craig, Daryl Keith Now, Charles W. Skip Palmquist Jr., Joel Ambers, Wiley Galler, Thomas Ray Allen, Daniel T. Gary, John J.K. Konopka, Paul Edward Setzer, Norman John Bennick, C.W., Michael Arroyo, Robert Borgs, Bob Lindsay, Jimmy, Scott Osechi, and Joey.
Lisette Ortiz, President, Student Activities Programming Board of County College of Morris.
Michael W. Bobby, Hyacinth Support. Bill F., Hyacinth Support Group. Gavin D. Hunter. Randall Scott Jackson. Daniel Armour. Doreen S., Hyacinth Support. Bill B., Hyacinth Support Group. Arthur Guy Murray. Alberto Perez, Jr. Alexander Sandy Schofman. Doug Freeman. John Canada. Daniel Albert. Gary Bierregard. Randy Richard Jones, Douglas Roth, Peter Vaspoli, Clinton King, David Jankovich, Stephen, Albert G. Columbro, Richard L. Lewis II, Joe Avery, Mark Dill, Kevin George, Ryan Robertson, Patrick Murphy, Patrick Porter, Marshall Blake, David George, Jay, Cheryl, Glenn, Bob, Eric, Tom Reg, Nicholas, Manny, Raleigh, Michael, Herbert F. Bourne, and also John Doherty and Roy Thorpe.
Rick Perverni, representing the New Jersey Collegiate Consortium for Health and Education.
John Baker, Peter Scott, Terry Byrne, Roger Wall, Bruce Kent, Sheldon Andelson, Sten Eric Hodgson II, John F. Wiedeler, Jr., Bob Korshak, Darren Davis, Michael L. Goodrich, Matthew L. Labonta, Michael Morrison, Kevin T. McSweeney, Terry McCormick, Jesus Choi, Stanley Lewis Betancourt, Mark T. Hoff, Jack Knight, Ron Roche, Ralph Harmer, Kevin O'Day Reiser, Morris Banks Nix Jr., Ira Gold, R.E.H., Bert P. Mallon, John F. Kelly, and Richard Ronan, Gina, Harvey, and Craig.
Mary Neely Rossi, representing the Student Activities Programming Board of County College of Morris.
John David Fritzen, Tom, Michael Grossman, Richard Lynn Woolworth, Walter Charles Schwartz, David Fripp Freud, John Paul Burns, Tony L. Kiley III, Jesus Gonzalez, John Bakley Cross, Alexander Best, Bradley David Ron, Rob Kraus, Raymond W. Lee, Melanie Beck Kovash, Jeffrey A. Kenny, David Albert Calkins, John A. Bianche, Esquire, William Harvey Floyd, Bill Christians, Ted Cronin, Deborah Huel Bianchi, L. Duane Freddy, Roger Dickerson, John Methbin, and Michael.
Hazel Trevisano, representing County College of Morris's President's Task Force on AIDS.
Henry DiRomeo, Kenny Hodges, Charlie Wills, Joe Johnson, Donald Carter, Robert Wark, William Kiefer, Wellington Young, Bob Bowden, Charles DeFiore, James Holden, Patrick May, Joe Fisher, Misha Taylor, Darrell Curry, Dennis Peekins, Kathleen Mary Kierans Odell, Alberto, Harvey Robinson, Tyrone Walker, Carlos Royala, David Cato, Arnold Gill, Edward Scudder, Robert Winston, James McDaniel, Leon Hubbard, Clayton Scoville, George Holloway, John Donaldson, Tony Spataro Jr., Father Tim.
Mark Weiner, President, Eric Johnson House, and Chancellor of the Oasis.
Jack T. Welch, David, Jermaine Jimmy LaFond, Albert Columbro, Bill Newman, Larry, Lawrence David Oken, Paul Ney, Thomas Picuro, Cheryl A. Peterson, Lee Eustace Williams, Andrew Jubasi, Joanne Vitiello, Edwin A. Rios, Michael L., Nilda M., Mamie H., Ira G., Gerald G., Alice M., Georgette S., Robert T., Kenneth P. Harris, Carol Strouser, Richard D. Nicola, Tyrone P., Mark G., Tom N., Mr. Emmett D., Kerry G., Bobby M., Theodore S., Deanna C., Captain John L., Tony Cantor, Harry, Thomas A. Coolbaugh.
The Reverend Philip Wilson, Church of the Redeemer, Morristown.
Peter Lamoni, G. Gary Sullivan, Gary Sullivan, Joseph Ellaby, Dave, Augie Zagari, Wilson Mantilla, Jamil Baez, Gregory Z., Randy Ladell Hawkins, Alan Talone, Bill Hincherick, George S. Medina Jr., John Shimsky, Serego Ramos, Dennis Pomarico, Charles R. Wright Chuck, Mary Perez, Hank Thyman, W.O.W., for the 60 who were: Carolyn Young, Larry Palladini, Donald Baumiller, Eric Johnson, Tom Jarling.
Dr. Cliff Wood, Vice President of Academic Affairs for County College of Morris.
Carl S. Luker Jr., Martin Lohengren, David K. Richmond, Brian Pratt, Carol L. Thompson, Monty Gale McCubbin, Gerald Cummins, Peter Countryman, Brad Hicks, Glenn House, Dale Hicks, Kelly K.J. Wydick, Kenneth Bush, Gerald Beaver, Donald Haynes, Dennis Yunt, John Fry, Jim Bollinger, Brenda Smith, Paul Pendleton, Rodman Curtis, Jeffrey Reed, Ralph Sowers, Dale Holliday, Rick Johnson, Jim Sherrig, Matthew Kalis, Craig Cox, David Cox, Michael J. Wetley, John McQuinn, John Michael, Russell Stark, Thomas Feeney, Michael Mahan, George Stevens, Hugh Brosco, Richard Planteja, Timothy Dowell, Robert Wilson, Eric Ross, Michael Kunti, Patrick O'Neill, Jed Stover, Miles J. Cutler, Jr.
Chris McGowan, representing County College of Morris's Office of College Relations.
Steve Roller, John David Ellison, Marcus Sparky Bruno, Mickey McCann, Kurt D. Lee, Michael McDonough. Yet leaving here a name, I trust I will not perish in the dust. So writes Robert Southby in the long poem, My Days Among the Dead Are Past. And so we are here today to celebrate the lives of friends, lovers, family, and children through the Names Project, the AIDS Memorial Quilt. This wonderful creative memorial is designed to show the humanity behind the horrible HIV virus that will touch all of us in some way during our lives. For AIDS knows not gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. It touches us all. I am so proud of the County College of Morris, this CCM family who has recognized the importance of bringing to light, to public attention, the AIDS crisis. We at CCM are meeting this crisis head-on through AIDS education, both formally and informally. We are incorporating the concepts of safe sex and AIDS awareness in regular courses in health education, psychology, biology, sociology, nursing. We are also educating our community through special programs like this one today. Thanks to all at CCM who made this day possible. We will continue to educate and continue to pass out ribbons of hope to create an awareness, an understanding, a will to bring to light the needs to push for a cure. The ribbons are only a symbol, but as Emily Dickinson wrote, I'll tell you how the sun rose, a ribbon at a time. And today we especially acknowledge all of you who are here because of someone close to you is memorialized by one of these quilt squares. We know that for you, these squares represent someone you loved, you nurtured, you supported, and who was special, someone who died too young, too soon. But as the poet wrote, it is not growing like a tree in bulk doth make man person better be, or standing long an oak 300 years, to fall at last dry-balled and sere. A lily of the day is fairer far in May, and though it fall and die that night, it was the plant and flower of light. In small proportions we just beauties see, and in short measure life may perfect be. Thank you for being here.
Please feel free at this time to go around and view the quilt.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Taylor with the News 3 Daily Update for Tuesday, April 19th. Last weekend, one of the most powerful visual reminders of the AIDS epidemic could be seen at the County College of Morris. Sections of the NAMES Project AIDS Memorial Quilt were at the campus for 3 days. Here's Matt Simpson with the story.
To live in the hearts of those you love is not to die. With all our hearts and minds, we will miss you. This was just one personal memorial that may be found this past weekend at the County College of Morris. It was the college that was home to a piece of the NAMES Project AIDS Memorial Quilt for one touching weekend. The names you will hear recited throughout this story were some of those recited throughout the exhibit and serve to remind you, as they did the people who attended the display, of everyone's ability to relate to the tragedy of the AIDS epidemic. The AIDS Memorial Quilt began in San Francisco in 1987 when one man gathered a group of neighborhood residents to take all their individual experiences with the disease and stitch them together. What they created was a montage filled with strength and beauty. The full quilt contains over 26,000 panels, each 3 feet by 6 feet, the size of an average grave. The college displayed roughly 500 of these panels, still enough to fill its gymnasium, literally wall to wall. Daria Johnson is a co-chairperson largely responsible for bringing this display to the school. The feelings she explains are echoed by many who visit the exhibit.
This is the second time that I've seen the quilt. I saw it once before at an exhibit, and with the instructions that you get from San Francisco, they tell you to include lots and lots of tissues because it's a very emotional thing, not only for people that have loved ones that are depicted in the panels, but I think it's very emotional for just anybody. When I first saw the quilt, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. But as I started walking around, and it just personalizes the whole disease, and you just don't see or hear statistics anymore. But you see actual people's lives that are depicted on these quilts and how they've touched other people's lives. And I think for that reason, you see babies, and you see fathers and mothers and all people of all relationships and how they're depicted on the quilt. And I think that's what's so moving about it, and that's what moves me every time I read another panel, and I think how it's affected a lot of the people that are here.
The NAMES Project serves to accomplish 3 main goals: to illustrate the enormity of the AIDS epidemic by showing the humanity behind the statistics, to provide a creative and positive means of expression for those whose lives have been affected by the epidemic, and to support the raising of vital funds and encourage support for people with AIDS and their loved ones. Hercules Leotard has taken this message to heart. He is not only the local panel-making coordinator, but a Hope House buddy as well. Hercules gave us his take on being there for someone with AIDS.
So far I've been with 2 people, and I've dealt with others, but I've had 2 people. Yes, I did read 2 names yesterday of those people, and they have passed away. It was a very uplifting experience for me. It's sad in itself, but it's also, in the end, you feel good that you helped this person through the process to die. It's not an easy process to die. Each person has their own way, but every person has their certain way they die from this disease. Some go in a hospital and you think that they're not going to come out, and they do. And then some go in a hospital and they don't come out. Or you think that they're going to come out of the hospital and they don't.
Carl W. Dotson, Patrick Marvin T. Hagee, and my friends Eugene Lindsay, Ray E., Howard Graves, and Michael Farrar.
With one last memory from the quilt: don't be dismayed at goodbyes. A farewell is necessary before we can meet again. And meeting again after moments or lifetimes is certain for those who are friends. This is Matt Simpson for News 3.
And last but not least, my daughter Joanne Caruso with yellow.
The number of panels added to the quilt each year has grown so much. The last time it was displayed in its entirety was in October of 1992 in Washington, D.C.
And finally, for local weather, tonight clearing and colder with temperatures in the low 40s. For tomorrow, partly sunny and windy with some showers possible, temperatures high near 60. That's all for now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rebecca Taylor. We'll see you tomorrow.